Space Jam: A New Legacy is actually a movie. I remember for the longest time the idea of a Space Jam sequel was one of those pipe dreams that will never happen. People talked about it for years, studios talked about it for years. It eventually branched out into other movies like Looney Tunes Back in Action, which was a lot of fun. And then it sort of became like this fantasy. It'll probably never happen. But then they eventually announced one with LeBron James in it instead of Michael Jordan, and now here we are. And like I said, in this movie we follow LeBron James, who is now trapped in this world along with the Toons, and they have to save their universe from imploding. Except this time it's a little more personal because things have happened which are causing this in the first place. Like his son, who he's having a very strained connection with, has a huge role to play in how he's ended up here. And in a way to sort of get back with his son and to sort of rekindle their relationship, he has to basically win the basketball game, which this time is being handled by an algorithm named P.I.G Rhythm and played by Don Cheadle. There are two ways to look at the original Space Jam movie. Either you can see it as a film that you as a kid watched on like Saturday afternoons and had a kick out of watching, or B, you can see it in a more critical, analytical way and you can be like, well, that doesn't work and that doesn't work and that's why this is not a great movie. I'm sort of on the fence because I'm a bit of both. I think it's a very enjoyable movie that I could watch on Saturday afternoons, and I actually did. That's how I got, started to enjoy the movie, that very first one. At the same time, it's a movie that I can look at and I can be like, well, that's not objectively a good movie. It's very much a guilty pleasure in that I can enjoy it, but if I really started to dissect this thing, there's a lot of problems with it. It's not exactly a great movie. A lot of issues that I had with the first Space Jam movie were in the way it sort of overloaded you with some of the IP, the Warner Brothers stuff. Sometimes it just kind of went into a full-blown advertisement of sorts. It was very messy, some very stiff acting. There was a lot of things like that. And if you thought those were problems in the first Space Jam movie that you wanted rectified in A New Legacy, I have some terrible news for you. They are not. They are kind of doubled down on, actually, especially the part about IP. Because in a lot of ways, The New Legacy plays like an advertisement for HBO Max. At one point in time in this movie, all the Warner Brothers IPs, all of the characters, and I'm not just talking about franchise characters like Harry Potter or the DC Universe or Matrix or whatever. I'm talking about every Warner Brothers movie. There's a point of time where you can see Alex from A Clockwork Orange in the crowd. You can see Pennywise standing somewhere in the distance. I'm pretty sure I saw Thundercats somewhere. When you're seeing all of that stuff, it's not only distracting, it really takes away from the movie, which is trying to be focused on a story. And it is really trying. And so it can be like an advertisement in that sense because it's like, well, what exactly is your goal here? Do you want to make a movie here that is trying to tell a story about LeBron trying to reconnect with his son? Or do you want to make a movie here which is essentially a gigantic streaming service advertisement? And I couldn't help but feel like this movie was just a massive step down from the first one because it just made so many of those mistakes even more so than that first movie did. It feels like the wrong lessons were taken. But the paradox here is that I can see it maybe potentially having a legacy quite like the first one had for people who grew up with it. In that we acknowledge that it wasn't exactly the best one, but at the same time, people growing up will be like watching maybe these reviews and being like, what were they thinking? This is a movie that is very fun and Saturday afternoon goodness, So there's a lot of interesting ways to approach a movie like Space Jam. I know we talk a lot about critic-proof movies, and the other day reviewing F9, it was like, oh yeah, it's a Fast and Furious movie. You can't exactly go critical on it. This is the critic-proof movie. You can't have any reviews influence this. At the end of the day, these are just us talking into a camera or writing down on paper just our opinions on it. Because this movie is one of those things which is about audiences, it's about people actually watching it and enjoying it. Let's talk about stilted acting though, because LeBron James, he was not the best actor, let's just put it that way. But then I could say the same thing about Michael Jordan as well in the first movie. They're not the best actors in the world, and that's definitely highlighted in this movie as well. The film definitely has a lot of messy storytelling, very convoluted plot. The stuff with P.I.G Rhythm, Don Cheadle, who is, by the way, the best part of the entire movie, that connection is pretty sound. The special effects and CGI is chaotic. It looks great. There's a lot of nice colors, but it's very chaotic. There's just sound and noise throughout the entire film just to keep you in the zone. And And that can also be really, really distracting. At the end of the day, the only thing I could keep thinking about while watching a new Legacy was it was distracting. And it felt really, really like, I don't know, it just felt like a mess, which is disappointing. But it's not the worst movie I've seen this year. A lot of people will say that. It was just a film that was meh. It's meh. You know, whatever. But like I said, I'm more interested in hearing from people years from now who will grow up with this movie. What do they have to say about it? Will they look at it in the same way as we do the first Space Jam? I don't know. I know I keep saying the word legacy, even though it's in this title, but really that's what it's about, I guess. I'm gonna give Space Jam a New Legacy a 5.5 out of 10. It's still a film that you can like in parts of it. Like the actual game itself is a lot of fun, and there's a lot of really cool moments in it that you can definitely enjoy. And the soundtrack's a lot of fun, and you get some great banter with Bugs and LeBron at points. There are some really great elements to it, but I feel like it just doubled down so much on a lot of mistakes that have been committed before, especially in that first movie too. It sort of made even bigger versions of those mistakes that it eventually dragged the movie for me. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Look forward to more reviews very soon. As always, if you like this, please do subscribe. I hope you guys are enjoying all of the content over here, and I'll see you guys at the movies.